My Miami with Kricket Snow, the 2010 president of the American Institute of Architects Miami chapter. In this episode, we visit Espirito Santo Plaza, a mixed-use tower designed by Cone Peterson Fox, and a building best known for a massive concave facade on its western elevation.
Well, I think if you ask a lot of architects in Miami what are their favorite high-rises, you'll probably get this on the top of the list. But for me, it's not just one of my favorites in terms of high-rise, it's really one of my favorites across Miami.
Let's talk about the building's two distinctly different facades.
What's interesting is I had a very nice conversation with the architect, the design architect for this building, and he explained to me, why this building has the split program that it has and why it has two very distinct facades. It was obviously by design. One is that, this building is partially office and the building is also partially hotel. The hotel program faces the bay. The office program faces the city, and the building as a whole from the outside in has two very important, equally important distinct faces, one of which is the city side and one of which is the bay side. So appropriately so, they split the program in the same manner to respond to the context.
And how does the building respond specifically to its Miami location?
Well, one of the things that's certainly different here, and a lot of this is something that people do notice when they come in, is they say, my goodness, why are your mullions so huge? You see these thin, delicate curtain walls in so many other places, and clearly that's a response to our building codes and the fact that we have to deal with high wind velocities for hurricanes. This building also touches the street in a way that no other building does. Most of the buildings on Brickell you'll see have an elevated entry where you have to climb several stairs to get up above the floodplain. And what they've done here is they've treated it a little bit differently. They've allowed you to come in off of the sidewalk, then they take you up to the occupied spaces within the building, and those portals, if you will, that address the street below the flood level have been designed to accept floodgates so that the building can actually be protected in times of imminent flood or hurricane.
Tell us more about the building's most prominent feature.
One of the things I learned in the discussions with the architect about the building is that this is not just a formal move on the facade of the building, but in fact it represents the geometry of the program as well as an urban gesture to the city facade. So in fact they felt it very important to hold the corners of the building in their location so that they could have an appropriate address of the sidewalk, if you will. And then as the program decreased, they were able to, in the floors above, they were able to pull the facade back. And so by holding the corners at the lower floor and pulling back at the upper floors, the floor plates themselves actually decreased and they were able to create this geometry. I think what's also nice about the concave geometry on the facade is although it's rooted in sort of the program and the urban gesture, it allows the building to offer an icon to the city, which many of the other buildings don't necessarily do. There's this theme throughout the building of always crossing over water, and I'm sure that they pulled that from the idea that they're facing the bay, and that the majority of the hotel program actually faces the bay. And so there's always sort of this interconnectivity of people and water. In fact, when you drive under the valet station at the hotel, you drive underneath a water bridge that's above you. So that's sort of a constant theme that you'll find as you wander through the building. When this building was being built, everybody was paying attention. I mean, everybody was paying attention. It was sort of the new wave of construction on Brickell. Up until this building and some of the others around it, Brickell was sort of, it was known with its 80s iconic architecture, which was also very important. But I would say 25 years later, this building sort of marked a new era.